those who join us in the public session for the board here today, those in the room and those who are joining us online. Welcome to the Chief Constable and his team who've joined us for public gallery today and for a further private session afterwards. Welcome to Mark H. Durkin, who joins us today for the first as a new SDLP political member. And again, just to record our thanks to Sinead McLaughlin for her contribution to the work of the board, briefly, but thank her for her contribution over the last few months. Also, I'd like to put on public record the board's indebtedness to Tom Frawley, our vice chair, and to Colin McKen, who is independent member and chair of the Audit Risk Committee for the last 4 years. Both of whom are stepping down along with myself at the end of the month, and I want to record my thanks to them for the professional way that they have dealt with their jobs over the last 4 years, and record the board's thanks for that. Both have made a significant contribution, Tom on many fronts, but notably for the direction he's given to the development of successive policing plans, and Colin for his work through our audit committee to provide oversight of our financial reporting and audit processes, and for the assurance that they have provided in that role to the accounting officer of the board. Again, we wish both well in whatever lies ahead in the future. Over the last month, policing and emergency service colleagues have had to deal with many incidents and events. I just want to think particularly about the people of Cresslach and all that they have gone through, and again for those in the frontline services responding to that particularly tragic incident, including services from Northern Ireland who provided support there, and our deepest sympathies with those who lost loved ones in that horrific event. Chief Constable had the privilege of attending the inaugural Problem Solving Awards. Really great to see the range of partnership work that is ongoing and led by our staff, and see the impacts of this type of work can have on policing and indeed in all areas of work. At the event, I did reference the need for problem solvers in trying to address the financial problems, and unfortunately it's not a funny quip, but it is the reality of where we stand at the moment. The financial picture remains dire, and we'll discuss this in more detail later today. We also want to look at the communication plan for this, internally and externally. The public will need to understand the impact that cuts will have on service delivery, and I know you have promised to come back to us with detail on all of that. At the October meeting, referenced the board's intention to publish a paper with recommendations on how to move forward on improving professional standards and ethics within the service, and to provide some public confidence and reassurance that inappropriate behaviours are indeed being addressed. This remains a matter of public interest locally and indeed nationally. HMI CFRS just yesterday publishing a report on vetting misconduct and misogyny, unfortunately themes we have heard too much about in the last while, themes which I know occupy your mind, Chief Constable, in ensuring that the service is as clean and reliable as possible. But again, we will touch on that later on. The board paper on this issue is being considered later today and will be formally sent to you and to the Minister of Justice before publication deadline. Members are all agreed that changes are now required to current misconduct legislation, that updates are required to the PSNI Code of Ethics, and have identified some other areas that need review and consideration, including by the Department of Justice. Members have welcomed your commitment and those of your colleagues to addressing these issues and ensuring that officers and staff are clear about the standards required of them as they serve our community and work within a very difficult environment. We will, of course, continue to keep a spotlight on this issue, and we'll be keeping it under review in the months ahead. Chief Constable, this, as you know, is my final meeting in public and the last meeting for our Vice Chair and Chair of Audit. Before we step down from our roles and positions as independent members at the end of this month, this board remains one of the most important boards in Northern Ireland on many different levels. As we step away, I would like to place on record thanks to colleagues on the board for their scrutiny and work to improve the delivery of policing services here, and particularly to the politicians who often don't get the recognition for significant time that they give, as well as MLA duties that they have to carry out. So I do thank them for that. Also to the current and previous chief executives and the staff team here, who are excellent and make our job all the easier because of the superb work that they do behind the scenes in linking specifically with the team at PSNI. Issues are sometimes difficult, but there are always a passion and a commitment from all within the board to do the very best for policing and for the public who are served by the service. I met very recently with the first chair of the board, Sir Desmond Ray, and it's interesting how many of the things that we reflected on are unfortunately still the same today in many ways as they were back in the early 2000s. But we did both agree that the thing we need to do more of, we hold to account, yes, but we sometimes don't advocate as much as we should, and there is an emphasis on all of us to advocate for policing to deliver best possible service, and we seek to do that and to get better at it. I do say, though, to your senior officer team, and indeed all officers, thank you for working with us. Thank you for listening, for hearing what was being said, and for responding to the challenges that were put to you and responding in a positive light. Certainly appreciate that. And all of the officers who carry out their jobs on a difficult, within a difficult environment. Policing is a job like no other. We ask officers to do a lot on our behalf, and the confidence in policing is something which is key if policing is to deliver the high standards that we expect of it. Tomorrow marks the 21st anniversary of the establishment of the board and of the PSNI, finally coming of age. Although, as I said before, maybe that was 18 rather than 21. But our work remains as important now as it did in 2001. We need to keep pace with the new challenges that are faced. So having made those comments, I'm going to hand over to you, Chief Constable, to make your opening remarks.